The wood paneling on every wall, the avocado green everything. A haze of cigarette smoke in the air at the grocery store, the bank, the doctor's office, everywhere. If you grew up in 1970s America, you lived through a decade so different from today that kids now genuinely don't believe it was real. Not the big history book moments, the everyday stuff. The way the whole world looked, sounded, and worked when you were small. And today, you and I are going to walk back through it together, one piece at a time. But stay with me to the end, because the last thing we'll talk about is something every 70s kid did in the back of the family car that would, today, get a parent pulled over on the spot, and we thought absolutely nothing of it. I'll get to it. So settle in. Picture it, the shag carpet, the TV with 4 channels, the whole burnt orange, harvest gold, wood-paneled world of it. Ready? Let's go back. Let's start with how the whole world looked, because the 70s had a color scheme, and you lived inside it. Avocado green, harvest gold, burnt orange, that specific brown. Be honest, your kitchen appliances were one of those colors. Your bathroom was probably another, and nobody thought it was anything but handsome. The refrigerator was gold. The carpet was orange shag, deep enough to lose a toy in, that you raked, actually raked with a special little rake, to make it stand back up. And over it all, the wood paneling, the fake grain sheets of it nailed up over every wall in the den, the basement, and somehow even the station wagon. A 70s room was warm, dim, and earth-toned, and it has vanished so completely that today it reads as a punchline. But back then, it was simply what a nice home looked like. And the textures went with it. The beanbag chair and the inflatable furniture, the macramé hanging in every window, the popcorn ceiling sprayed overhead, sparkling faintly, the vinyl that pretended to be leather and stuck to your legs. The whole house had a feel to it, soft, shaggy, a little dim, with a lamp in the corner throwing amber light through a shade. It smelled of cigarettes and coffee and whatever was simmering. You could be set down blindfolded in a 70s living room and know the decade in one breath, and most of us would give a great deal to stand in one just once more, exactly as it was. Look at the television and understand what it could and couldn't do. 4 channels, maybe 5 if the weather was right and you held the antenna. And the TV was the boss of the house because it controlled time itself. A show came on once. If you missed it, it was gone, maybe forever, maybe until the summer rerun, but you did not control it. The whole family planned the evening around what came on when. And once a year, the appearance of certain specials was an event the whole school talked about. The holiday cartoons, the big movie they finally showed on television, edited for time, that you waited all year for. There was no pausing, no rewinding. You held it when you had to go to the bathroom, or you missed it and a friend told you about it the next day. The idea that a kid today can summon any show ever made, instantly, at any moment, a 70s kid would not have been able to even imagine it. And the television itself had a whole life of its own. It took a moment to warm up, the picture blooming out of a single dot. You changed the channel by getting up and turning a heavy dial with a satisfying clunk, and the youngest kid was often the remote control, sent across the room on command. The picture rolled or went to snow, and you adjusted the antenna, and sometimes a coat hanger stood in for it. And at the end of the night, television simply ended. The national anthem played over footage of a flag, and then the screen went to a test pattern and a steady tone. And that was it. The TV went to sleep, and so, finally, did you. Now to the kitchen counter, and the gadget that felt like the future. The microwave oven, when it arrived, was a genuine marvel that the whole neighborhood came to see. Be honest, when your family got one, it was an event. This enormous, heavy box that cost a fortune and cooked a potato in minutes was science fiction made real. And everyone was a little afraid of it. There were dark rumors that standing in front of it would do something to you, that it would interfere with your heart, that you shouldn't look at it while it ran. You stood back and watched the plate turn through the window like it might explode. And before it, and alongside it, the stuff of 70s eating, the TV dinner in its compartmented foil tray, the Jell-O molds with things suspended inside them, the fondue pot that came out for parties, and the deep abiding faith that anything could be improved by being turned into a casserole. And the 70s dinner party was its own spectacle. The cheese ball rolled in nuts, the little cocktail wieners in a sauce, the deviled eggs, the bowl of chip dip made from a soup packet, the ambrosia salad that was somehow both a side dish and a dessert and contained marshmallows. The grown-ups stood around in their wide collars with a drink in hand and a cigarette in the other, and the kids snuck the olives off the relish tray and were sent to play. It was a whole cuisine built on cans, packets, and confidence, and to a 70s kid, it tasted exactly like a special occasion. Look at what's on the table at dinner and what nobody worried about. The food was different, and so was the science around it. Everything came in a can or a box, and that was considered modern and good. The breakfast cereal was essentially candy, with a cartoon mascot and a toy buried inside, and a sugar content that would alarm a doctor today. The bread was white, soft, and squeezable. The fruit was often in syrup. And the serving sizes of sugar, salt, and additives that a kid put away in a day are numbers that now seem invented. Nobody read a label because nobody thought to. The food was modern, it was convenient, it came from a factory, and that was the whole selling point. Now, the thing in the air, literally everywhere, the cigarette smoke. And it was everywhere. People smoked in the office, in the hospital, on the airplane. There was a smoking section on a plane, separated from the rest by absolutely nothing, as if the smoke would politely respect the row. They smoked in restaurants, in the grocery store, in the car with the windows up and the kids in the back. Your teacher had a lounge thick with it. The doctor might light up during your appointment. A 70s kid grew up breathing it everywhere they went, and nobody thought a thing of it. The ashtray was a standard piece of furniture in every room, the way a lamp was. To a kid today, the sheer everywhereness of it is the single hardest thing about the decade to believe. And the artifacts of it were everywhere too. The car lighter that glowed orange when it popped out, that you were warned never to touch, and that every kid touched exactly once. The matchbooks from every restaurant collected in a bowl by the door. The candy cigarettes they sold to children so you could pretend right along with the grown-ups, holding the chalky white stick between two fingers just like Dad. It was simply the air of the decade, and most of us can still summon the smell of it in an instant because it clung to everything: the coats, the curtains, the car, the inside of Grandma's purse. Turn to the corner of the living room, the telephone, and the whole world it ruled. One phone, attached to the wall, shared by everyone with a cord and a busy signal. If someone was on it, you simply could not make a call, and to anyone trying to reach you got that flat buzz, and had to try again later. There was no voicemail. A missed call was just a thing that never happened. And it was tied to the wall, so every conversation happened in the kitchen or the hall, in full earshot of your entire family, which is why the great achievement of a 70s teenager was stretching that cord around a corner for 30 seconds of privacy. And long distance cost real money, so calling a relative in another state was a planned, hurried, slightly stressful event. It's long distance, with everyone shouting their hellos before the meter ran up. Look at how you got your music, because it was a whole ritual. The record, the 8-track, and the radio you could not control. You heard a song on the radio and you loved it, and the only way to own it was to wait, to sit by the radio with your finger on the tape recorder's button, hoping to catch it next time. And the DJ always talked over the intro and ruined it. Or you saved up and bought the 45, the single, for that one song. Music was something you waited for, hunted, saved up for, and treasured. Not an infinite ocean in your pocket, but a few precious records you played until they wore out. And the 8-track in the car that clunked between tracks right in the middle of a song and that you could not rewind, only endure. Now to the bookshelf and the desk, how you found anything out. There was no looking it up. If you didn't know something, you mostly just didn't know it. You had the Encyclopedia if your family had sprung for the set, frozen in time from whatever year you bought it. You had the library and the card catalog and a librarian. And you had the adults around you who told you things that were sometimes completely wrong and that you believed for years because there was no way to check. An argument at the dinner table about a fact could simply go unresolved forever. A 70s kid lived with 1,000 small mysteries that a kid today would solve in 3 seconds. And mostly, You just lived with the not knowing. Look at how the family captured a moment, slowly and on faith. The camera with film in it. And you got 24 shots, that was all. So you did not waste them. You took one picture of the birthday cake, not 40. You held still and you smiled and you hoped. And then, here's the part kids can't believe, you finished the roll, sometimes months later, sent it away or dropped it at the drugstore, and waited a week or two to find out if any of the pictures even came out. Half of them were blurry, or had a thumb in them, or were of nothing. There was no looking at the screen to check. You found out weeks later whether the moment had survived, and you kept the blurry ones anyway. And the camera itself was a whole production. The flash cube that rotated and gave you 4 flashes before you twisted on a new one, blinding everyone in the room and leaving them seeing spots. The instant camera that whirred out a square photo you waved in the air and watched slowly appear like magic, swearing it developed faster if you shook it. The home movies with no sound, shot on film, that required setting up a projector and a screen in the living room. The real clattering, dad narrating, everyone groaning and secretly loving it. Capturing a memory in the 70s took effort, money, and patience, which is exactly why every photo that survived means something and why the shoebox of them is now the most precious thing in the house. Step outside to the driveway, the family car, and how big and wild it was. A car the size of a boat, steel bumpers, bench seats front and back, no headrests, and an AM radio with a single speaker. The back seat was an enormous unbuckled couch, and the way back of the station wagon, facing out the rear window, was where the kids rode, rolling around freely, lying down, waving at the cars behind. The windows rolled down with a hand crank, the doors locked with a little post you pushed down. And the whole thing ran on leaded gas that a man in a uniform pumped for you while he checked your oil and washed your windshield. Because you did not pump your own gas, and the idea that you someday would have seemed absurd. And the soundtrack of the neighborhood, the sounds that filled a 70s day. The 8-track, sure. But step outside and listen to the whole block. The metallic ring of a bicycle bell, the slap of a screen door, a lawnmower you pushed with your own arms, no engine on the cheap ones. The transistor radios on every porch tuned to the ball game so you could walk the whole street and never miss a play. The ice cream truck. The CB radio crackle from the driveway, because for a few years in the 70s, every dad was briefly a trucker on the weekends with a handle and a whole secret language. And under it all, the absence of one sound that fills every space today. No screens chirping, no notifications, no devices. Just the sounds of a neighborhood full of people outside doing things. And now, the one I promised you at the very start. Here it is. The thing every 70s kid did in the family car that would, today, get a parent pulled over and possibly reported. You rode completely unbuckled. There was a seatbelt buried somewhere in the crack of the bench seat, stiff and unused, but nobody wore it, and many cars in the back had none at all. You stood up on the seat. You climbed over into the way back. You lay across the rear window ledge like a cat, looking up at the sky as the car did 60 on the highway. The baby rode in Mom's arms in the front seat. And when Dad had to stop short, his arm shot out across your chest. The mom arm, the dad arm, and that was the entire safety system, a grown adult's arm. And here's the thing. It wasn't that they didn't love us. They loved us exactly as much as parents do now. It's that the whole world ran on a different setting. More danger, more freedom, more trust, and a lot less worry. Think about how it actually felt. The long summer drive, the windows down because there was no air conditioning in most cars, the hot wind roaring through, your arm out the window riding the air like a wing, the vinyl seats scorching the backs of your legs so you sat on a towel, the fights in the back seat over the invisible line until the dad arm came across, falling asleep in the way back on the drive home at night, watching the streetlights sweep past overhead, the murmur of your parents talking low in the front, the radio playing something soft, knowing without a word that you'd be carried into bed when you got home so you kept your eyes shut and pretended. We rode loose in the back of a steel car going 70 with the windows down and an 8-track playing. Nobody buckled, nobody anxious, the whole family just going somewhere together. It is the single thing about a 70s childhood that a kid today finds most impossible to believe. And every one of us remembers exactly how it felt. The warm vinyl, the wind, the freedom of it. We made it, and we wouldn't trade it. So that's the decade. The shag carpet, the 4 channels, the long ride home in the back of the wagon. Now I want to hear about yours. Which one stopped you cold? The wood paneling? The microwave the whole neighborhood came to see? Riding loose in the way back? Tell me down in the comments. And tell me the one 70s thing we didn't name, because I read every single one, and I'm building the next one from your memories. If this brought even a little of it back, subscribe and come sit with us again. Next time we're heading down the road to the place that doesn't exist anymore, the corner drugstore with the soda fountain up front and the pharmacist who knew the whole town by name. We'll leave the light on for you.